Bigger than cake.
Give me some sadness.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, and then I watched it.
Oh, dry.
Hello, welcome to Bigger Than Capes. I'm Zach. This is our June roundup, and I'm joined by Angela, Matt, and Will. How are you guys doing?
Howdy.
Yeah,
Hello.
pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, Tar. How you doing, Zach?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I can't complain. Well, I can, but I won't. Let's
Very
just
thoughtful.
maintain my not complaining yet status.
We'll get into that later.
Oh, of course. It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked last. I think Bloodshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a film.
Yeah, you know,
What a journey.
2 film club episodes in a row. So, you know, now it's nice to get back to comics for a minute.
Yeah. I'd get back
Only
to
a minute though.
Yeah, not too long. You don't
Don't want to pretend we're into comics.
want to lose those hardcore Bloodshot fans we gained and lost last week, 2 weeks ago. I wonder if people are more upset about what we thought about Bloodshot or what we thought about Fantastic Four. I have my suspicions which one, but
Bloodshot, obviously, because we were entirely right about Fantastic Four.
we are, yes.
No one can disagree with us on that one. Surely.
The records will always show we were right that one time.
Yeah.
You're on the right side of history.
Yep.
I like to think so. We've got the novelty of this month of trying to follow last month's roundup where we all agreed on something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's really not going to be the case today.
No way is it going to work like that today.
I'm really curious though. I think I'm slightly more under the impression we might match up on some things today. So we'll see.
I mean, the fact that we've all agreed that we think it's going to be different makes me think it might all be the same. That we've all had, like the opposite thoughts that we thought we were going to have, and that we think others will have, but we all actually had the other thought that we thought we were thinking of having, and then.
That might be the most 90s sitcom of sentences that we'll.
Just needs to end with a bass line.
Oh yeah, get that Seinfeld bass.
I recently learned that the bass from Seinfeld was all played on keyboard, and everything I believe is a lie.
Your world falls away.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty devastated by that one.
Well, good night, folks. That's all from.
So
that's all from us.
To,
just got to go and just reassess things for a little while.
I mean, the world no longer makes sense.
So thanks for Davey504 on YouTube for ruining my understanding of reality there. Right, so should we go and do that catching up type stuff we normally do?
Like, I mean, I've got a couple things.
I'll get comfortable for this.
So I have caught up on One Piece. 1,017 chapters of comics read finally.
Have you set a marker of when you started this?
So technically I started over a decade and a bit ago. And I've fallen off it. Like, it was longer ago than that even. I've tried to read One Piece a bunch of times. And every time I've never really gotten that far into it until this one.
Okay.
And I did this one I started this one a year ago. So it's been I've taken it slowly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to rush through it, and I've been reading a bunch of other comics and books and stuff, like actual words, rather than just words and pictures.
La-dee-da.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, real good. And if you'd have asked me a couple years ago, I'd have said it's probably okay. But no, it's a very, very good comic that is kind of one of these things where, the fact that it is as long as it is one of the reasons it's so good. Because it's had like 25 years to just to tell its story and create its and enrich its world under the guidance of like one sort of creative helmsman. Other thing is the trailer for the Chainsaw Man anime dropped yesterday, and it looks incredible. I'm very excited. Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, I've just read the first issue of Chainsaw Man. I've got to admit, I'm a bit of a sucker for that episodic shonen manga of almost any type. Like, they follow a certain trope that I just thoroughly enjoy. And I can do so, as you say, over 1,000 chapters of something. And I'm not sure I've read that much of any single series.
No.
But collectively, I've probably read something like that. But yeah, I read the first issue of Chainsaw Man, and yes, it's utterly rad. So really looking forward to the anime.
Yeah, and it's one of these ones where it's both like incredibly rad and weird, whilst also having some genuine actual emotional maturity.
Yeah.
In there, whilst dealing with a character with no emotional maturity.
No, whose arms and head are chainsaws.
Whose arms and heads are chainsawed sometimes.
It's a complicated world.
Yeah, so like that's mostly me. Actually, have I been on since I got my Berserk tattoo?
Yes, because the Bloodshot one we just didn't talk about it.
That was I got my Berserk tattoo. It's very cool, according to me.
Do you just keep looking at your arm thinking, I'm cool now?
I just keep looking at my arm going, oh no, when are the demons coming? When are the apostles coming to get me?
Now you've been branded.
Yeah, but so that's me.
That's fair. I'm impressed. Are you going to keep up with One Piece?
Oh no, I've decided now that I'm never going to read it again.
Oh, that's a good choice. I agree. You got to wait until you've got another 1,000 chapters. I think it's the only way to.
Oda has said that he expects to finish within the next 5 years.
I do not believe that.
I do not believe it. Considering, like, in the past, like when I first tried to read it, I'm sure he was saying that it wasn't going to be as long as it is. That it had like a timeline that seemed a bit closer than 30 years.
Is it one of those where it's always, I'm going to finish within the next 5 years, though?
I don't think it's that bad. But it's not going to be 5 years. I cannot see it happening.
And I'm sure, because we've doubted him so much now that...
He'll prove you wrong now.
Oh, yeah.
He'll go,
Zach, set an alert for 5 years' time. And if One Piece is finished, we will apologise on the podcast.
I look forward to it. I think in 5 years' time when we apologise, it'll be... We'll get him on. We'll do like a One Piece episode where we'll discuss like a crazy amount of manga, but condense it down to an hour and a half.
I'm sure that he'll be up for that.
This is the thing. I think we need to do more regular episodes, but like with creators. So rather than do interviews, we should just get in like, I don't know, whoever, and be like, we're just gonna do our roundup, and you're just here to, be a part of it. Congrats.
Yeah, just share your thoughts.
Just drag people in kicking and screaming.
Hopefully get the lowdown on other creators.
Yeah.
We want the gossip.
I think we do. The problem then is, though, how much gossip are we allowed to like release into the world?
We're mavericks, renegades. Release what we want. Get sued for it later.
Yeah.
This is guerrilla podcasting. This is
in the wild.
Similar to Matt, although not as similar, because Matt's read more and finished more. You finally read Chainsaw Man, like I've been telling you for like a year. No, Matt, I can't take breaks. I'm still reading Turtles. Volume 11 turned up today. I've got volume 12 in the other room, which obviously arrived before volume 11. And I'm like, if it wasn't for the like wealth of universe stuff and one-shots and tie-ins, I'd be really close to being done. Mm-hmm. But because of all the extra crap, I'm not. But I'm going to finish in the next week because I have to.
Oh, you'll never really be done.
No, because we're actually on like issue 118, and I'm only going to get up to like 105, 106. But I'm going to finish in the next week, which means next week's episode is probably going to be our TMNT school for Angela and Matt.
Learn about the turtles.
God.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to probably reread some bits.
Because all I know
you've done this over the course of months. I'm going to have to do this in like 4 days. Just like
my advice, Will, would be call in sick, stay home, don't sleep.
Correct.
I mean, I can tell you a bunch about like when the Turtles went to like historical Japan and hung out with like a rabbit.
And that one issue is worth,
No, there's quite a few issues actually.
But there's only one in the official IDW canon.
It's happened a few times.
I assume there's problems with the lives.
That's the question.
He might be my favourite Psycho. Is he a psycho if he's just not got like any cognitive response? So he's just like, I don't know, naturally unhinged, or is
he's a pigeon.
And like all pigeons, he's got issues.
Yeah.
Real baggage. I had to take a break while I was waiting for these to arrive, so I've actually like read other comics. I caught up on Redneck and then realized volume 5 came out, and I've not read that, so I'm not caught up. I caught up on Chew, but like the new Chew, like CHU Chew.
Oh
yes.
I missed that was coming out.
It's like a prequel about Tony's sister Saffron. It's good. It's better than I expected.
Good. That warms my heart.
Yes, it's well worth checking out. I might even write some words about it for their website, because I assume I'm not that far behind when it was released. I don't know. Maybe I am.
And when has that stopped us?
It's our website, so we can kind of do what we want.
I mean, one day you will get a review of the first issue of Exo Manowar from 1990.
To be honest, I was thinking,
Angela, if you want to go back and just review old Valiant as just like as a time machine sort of piece.
Well, I was thinking about while reading Mind MGMT and thinking we should do some like retrospectives.
Yeah, we should,
because
we kind of did a few on and off, and then we've gotten distracted by all the current comics.
I think a lot of the time that some of the retrospectives were helped by certain seasons, like we did a Halloween thing and the alt superhero thing that kind of lended itself to certain books. But the best books are like timeless, and I think in the monthly comic grind, stuff gets left behind incredibly quickly. Like if you're not keeping up, then you're sort of not on the cusp of comics. But good stuff that stands alone is good forever. And like ordinary books, I think, people should still be able to buy them now. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So I think doing a few retrospectives. I'm not sure why we're talking like website in the middle of a podcast.
Because everyone should read.
Keep people on the inside.
Yeah.
Well,
everyone needs
to
read.
Zach and I have been pitching our 20th Century Lads series on the podcast to each other since the start.
And I did forget, we are Mavericks and Renegades, so this is how we do business.
I think when I've finished Turtles, I might start my 20th Century Boys reread.
Yeah, same.
And therefore prepare for 20th Century Lads.
I've got one like albatross off my neck, like with One Piece being done, so I'm free to do it.
Sweet freedom, Matt. Yeah, I think we'll get there and we'll do 20th Century Lads at some point. I don't know what year, but
it will happen.
It'll begin with a 2. It'll be 20 something.
Yeah.
Seems, yeah, I like our chances.
Yeah.
But yes, I like our live podcast website admin. I think we should do some retrospectives. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
You done anything cool, Angela?
No, I have nothing. I've been, a lot of comics have come out recently, and I've been writing for the website about said comics, which is bigger than capes.com for those people who would like a plug for that particular website. No, I mean, the most exciting thing I did last week was build a very small Lego R2-D2, which,
lovely.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
That's as far as I've got.
I went out and picked flowers to make cordial.
Nice.
And then used that cordial to make cake because I'm a domestic.
Lovely stuff. I went to Berry Arcade. So I've been to Berry Arcade.
And you didn't invite us.
Oh, arcade club.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It was for someone else's birthday, so I think it would have been a bit rich to invite another group of people.
Why?
Hey Sam, happy birthday! You don't know these 6 guys, but
who would have thought you would be here?
But yeah, it's cool. Played me some Time Crisis.
Yeah. Did you play the game where you have the gun and the targets, and you have like a set amount of bullets and a time to do the targets in?
There were a couple of them. Police Training was one of them. It's like a Japanese quick draw, and you've got to holster between rounds. It's got real targets, and they pull and stuff. And the last one is a mug, and it explodes out when you hit it. They didn't have that one this time, I'm afraid.
I managed to get the number 2 high score on that once after playing it for about 2 hours.
Superb. I ruled at some Mario Kart. I was pretty good at the basketball game.
Yeah.
And refound my love for sort of Japanese arcade 2D shoot 'em ups.
Oh yeah.
They've got one room which is just lined of those kind of Japanese small arcade machines that tend to be like Street Fighter or one of these like shoot 'em ups. Yeah. Normally like the vertical kind, and they're just cool.
Yeah,
Sit with them for hours.
I always wish, because they have so many fighting games there, but they don't have King of Fighters 1998. And that's my fighting game, or at least it was at one point. But yeah, sorry, comics. Comics are a thing that we're talking about today.
Let's do it.
Right here.
Yes. And what is the first comic which we are discussing?
Why, it would be The Worst Dudes, Zach.
You, the worst of us.
The first comic we're discussing is The Worst Dudes. It is written by Aubrey Sitterson, illustrated by Tony Gregori, coloured by Laverne Kinzieski.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Cracking. Lettered by your boy Taylor Esposito, with cover art by Tony Laverne, and published by Dark Horse, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Published by Dark Horse. I was meant to write a little intro for this, and I haven't. So brace yourselves.
Yeah. Try and explain this.
Okay. Yeah. Good
right.
luck.
So The Worst Dudes. Basically, we have a dirty cop by the name of Sam Sugar, who is employed, challenged by the Eternal Empress to track down her husband, the Storm King's illegitimate daughter, Zephyr Monsoon, who has gone missing.
And has a very good name.
Cracking name. She's gone missing whilst in the process of getting divorced from Caligula Monomacho.
Yeah.
Killer name. Who is a kind of pink lion man who has a spaceship and does drugs and drinks a lot, and it's just pretty hardcore, I guess. And
yeah.
They'll team up also with the Eternal Empress's son, Bang. Basically, to try and find Zephyr, and chaos ensues, I think is...
Madness ensues.
There's quite a lot of random characters introduced along the way, and I'm not sure how many of them will matter and how many of them are just names that have been thrown at us, but there's quite a lot to unpack here. Would anyone like to start us off with the unpacking of this?
I'm not quite sure what side I'm going to fall on here. I've been quite a fan of Aubrey Sitterson. He's a pretty kind of recent comic book writer, and from the bits I've read so far, I've really liked what he's done, and I kind of always look forward to his new projects. This issue doesn't work for me. The humor doesn't land. I think it's going for kind of an ironic, like the humor is infantile, and I think it's supposed to kind of be ironic that these are the worst dudes, per se, the title. But I just kind of don't get it from it, and in the end, it just seems infantile, and I really like the art.
Yeah.
That's my positive upturn. I think the art's really good, particularly in the kind of drug taking phases. But I don't know. It just, the humor just really doesn't land for me in this. It feels. It's hard for me to say this because I love toilet humor, but it feels like it's done it without that slight air of irony to it. It feels too kind of on the nose for me.
I thought it felt very 1980s humor, like this was the level we were operating at in the 80s, and humor and satire and all of that has moved on in the last 30 odd years, and it doesn't feel like this book has. It feels very throwback in the humor. Having read a lot of 90s comics, it kind of reminded me of some of them as well, just in the general tone. I mean, the art very feels like something from the 60s, 70s, very psychedelic, very good, but I agree with Will. Here we are, you see, we're not disagreeing so far, but I agree with Will that the humor didn't always land. And yeah, what probably didn't help was I was really attached to Rodney, the sealed drug dealer at the start. And then he gets beaten up and basically left for dead. And he was the character that I'd sort of got, I want to know more about him. And I'm not going to get more about him. And I was disappointed in that regard. But it's a journey, isn't it?
Yeah. See, sorry, go on.
Controversially, I think I'm on team Will and Angela at this.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
More agreement.
Which is a surprise to me. I think there are some laughs, and I think the art is pretty great. The things that immediately stood out to me was the my favorite thing throughout all of it may well be the is it exit stage, whatever the shit.
Yeah. That was a good
big fan of that. But amongst quite cool character designs, I kind of feel like this doesn't feel as pure as something like No One Left to Fight. I feel like No One Left to Fight completely understood what it was and was really well refined. And I kind of feel like this is a lot looser in...
Yeah.
It's done in such a way that it could be yet redeemed. Like, I think there's a twist to this that I think makes it funny when it's looked at through a certain lens. I just don't get that viewpoint from it at the moment.
Sorry.
Sorry, Matt. You've gone to go a couple of times now, so it's your turn.
I was just going to say, I think I like it a bit more than the rest of you. I don't love it, but it has quite a few things that I quite appreciate. Like, I love how basically all of the characters have entirely like contrasting designs and look like they're from like very different types of sort of like science fiction, space opera sorts of stories. Like they all just look like they're from different subgenres. And like if we want gags that work, it's more of a lettering kind of gag, but I do really like the like what Taylor Esposito does with the lettering whenever like the Divine Empress is talking about Bang.
Yeah,
and whenever,
it's really good.
says something nice, it goes from like very imposing sort of like just standard, but like lots of it's just there, and then just big puffy sort of pink clouds and sweetness like lettering for those bits. And it's really well done, and the way it just slips into dialogue boxes and stuff like that. Like, I get 100% what you guys are saying, and I don't think it's great, but I do think that it might need another issue or two for like its twist kind of to come out. Like, its main strength definitely is its art in this case, but like I say, I do think there's enough going on with the writing, but yeah, the art is kind of doing the heavy lifting, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not quite caught up with the mystery of where Monsoon has gone, and the fact that she's probably gone with Bugsy Sprocket, a previous gang leader. We're inferring. It does seem to be leading into other stuff, but it's not.
I just don't feel like we've been given enough reason to care yet.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, just not quite caught up with it yet. Which I'm always a little bit cautious to criticize, because I do prefer books normally in like trade format. Like that's how I like to read them. So sometimes if a first issue doesn't fit quite right, but it works as a part of a greater whole, like that's not a big problem for me. If the individual issue isn't brilliant, but it serves a greater thing. But yeah, I'm struggling to kind of hook on anything other than the art of continuing to read. Well, actually, as you said it, the lettering is excellent.
The lettering. Taylor Esposito's a good letterer, though.
Absolutely. And not just, as you say, the more like flamboyant parts, but just everything. Like, there are parts where the words break the speech bubbles, and there are like robots have a different speech bubble, and like there's just lots and lots of detail to the lettering. It's been thought about a lot, and as Angela always points out, it's rarely talked about. And I think
the lettering is good, but
I think it's very good.
It needs to
when Sam says the "it's okay with me," it actually goes into a different font. Which is similar to kind of the. Is it similar? Yeah, it's similar to.
They're like the bat
same
creatures.
As the creatures towards the beginning, which obviously means something, but we don't know what it means yet.
Yeah,
it does feel like this would be something that I'd be more likely to read as a trade rather than single issues.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's a story designed for single issues in the same way that it could be. Because there's a lot of setup, but it's setup I don't care about.
Yeah, it needs just, like I say, it needs at least like one more issue for me to really hook on, I think.
Yeah. And if they get into why it is that kind of Monsoon's important, or I keep calling her Monsoon. That's her surname, isn't it? That seems disrespectful of Zephyr Monsoon. Zephyr. But like why she's important, and I don't know, a bit more of these three kind of main characters interacting more, and maybe getting some more of the comedy off that. But yeah, as of the moment, it's a bit too dick jokey.
That doesn't bother me too much, but like, I'm hopeful that another issue or two will give me something to hook on to, and then I'll be excited for the trade.
Yeah, and as I say, I like Aubrey Sitterson, so I'm kind of
absolutely.
I'm prepared for another issue and give that another crack of the whip.
I agree.
So there's agreement. So we're starting off this. We're going to disagree this week with agreement.
I 100% agree. I did say I liked it more than you three.
We're all in agreement. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, dear.
So speaking of us all being in agreement, I don't know.
Speaking of us all being in agreement,
Angela, say something.
Right. Well, we'll all agree about Barbaric on pain of something. So Barbaric, which is published by Vault, written by Michael Moreci. The artist is Nathan Gooden. Who's to say? God, I mangle these names every month, and I apologise to all the people involved. The colourist is Addison Duke, and the letterer is Jim Campbell. So Barbaric is about a barbarian called Owen, which is, the best name for a barbarian, clearly, and doesn't sound at all like Conan. So Owen the Barbarian was a guy who liked to, in his own words, drink and fuck and fight, and in whatever order he chooses to do that in, until one day he was accosted by three witches who placed a curse upon him. Well, basically they gave him a choice. You can either have eternal damnation in hell, or you can take our curse, which is not really a choice. It's more of a catch-22, that, isn't it? So they offer him this curse, which is basically he will be cursed to do good. We're going to use the term loosely, considering what's going to happen. So he takes the curse, he accepts the curse. His axe, called Axe, has no other name, Axe, becomes, enchanted and speaks to Owen and is basically his moral compass. So basically, Axe tells Owen who they can kill for the moral good. And there are many, many people that, as it turns out, they can kill while doing the moral good, which pleases the axe, who gets high on blood, which, all axes do, don't they? But no one else can hear the axe speak apart from witches. So everyone thinks Owen's a madman who just goes around talking to his axe. It's a running joke. It amused me greatly. He goes about and slaughters people for the moral good, the better world of the world. And then at the very end, he does end up meeting another witch, and, he must team up with her, presumably, but that's how it ends. And I just really enjoyed it because it had humour and it had gore. And if you are writing a comic book that Angela likes, you will include those two things. So,
tick and tick.
Done. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Will,
yes, sir.
You also have read a bunch of Slain, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got heavy Slain vibes. I guess. I mean, it all comes back to Conan in the end.
But when I see a big hairy man with some variety of historical weapon and no shirt,
so particularly the big axe. That's very Slain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm generally like, oh, Slain. But yeah, no. I quite liked this. And yeah, very much just enjoyed the twist of the witch's curse basically just stop being such a dickhead.
Yeah. I think traditionally I don't go for a lot of like fantasy or Conan. I tried to read Jason Aaron's Conan when he started doing it at Marvel, and man, is it just too straight. It's just too
It is. Having read it, yeah.
Here's some Conan. So I quite liked that this felt like it had a lot of personality, and also the witch at the end has tattoos that are weapons, and that's just pretty awesome, isn't it?
That is awesome.
Very much.
Made me think though of the terrible fighting video game called Tattoo Assassins.
I really thought you were going to talk about that Final Crisis tie-in book about the
was it
tattooed
Ink or
man.
Something?
It was Ink.
Run, yeah.
Please, Run is obviously about...
the guy who killed Impulse.
Shit, is it? I thought Run was about the guy who kills Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter.
Anyway, that's all the time we've got for Final Crisis this week. Thanks for that.
Join us next week when we'll go back to discussing this week's books.
I think I agree with the general consensus there. Like, I do quite like a fantasy, but I agree with you that the sort of Tolkien style swords and sorcery is a bit too played out, and when you are straight down the line with that, I kind of get why that's not a fun read. But I think because of the curse, I think it's compelling to have an essentially morally bad person be compelled to be good. I think is a real fun twist on the genre. Generally, when you get that, it tends to be good people turned bad. But I like this idea that he's fully conscious and aware. He just is compelled to do good and hates it. And I think that is a bit of a gold mine for comedy. And although they don't display it in this book, maybe I'm projecting, but what I'm hoping for is they kind of get into the nature of what is good.
Yes.
You know, this idea that he's compelled to do good. He's compelled to, what's the actual word in? Like, there's something about he's compelled to.
Something about having to help people if they.
Respond to a cry for help, but then I thought, like, what if somebody wants help with something intrinsically bad? Like,
I mean,
what if you're doing something and don't know the consequences, kind of beyond that action?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, they do sort of touch on that at the start, where you have the morally preachy guy, and he's like, you're here to kill these three people, and one's a thief, and one's this, that, and the axe points out, well, you can kill him because he's bad, and you can kill him because he's bad, but that one, he's not really done anything, so don't be the killing of him. And then he ends up killing the preachy guy
which I really like those two panels where
just that panel where he slices him in half is just
the fact that in the first one you see that just half his beard is gone and then he just slides apart, all his fingers come off. Oh, that's good stuff.
Just stuff like did the witches themselves define what good is and what's their moral code?
Because they do hint as well, because the witches sort of say it's
something bigger.
It's part of something bigger, and you're like, ooh, well, what's the bigger?
It's just what sort of moral system do they believe in? What makes good in their view? I think it's going to be quite a fascinating little read.
Yeah, I think if it hits on some of those subjects, it could be really good. But I think on the note of people getting chopped in half, I think the art is consistently pretty ace in this, especially some of the colouring. Like, I really like the effect. I think we see it quite a lot in modern comics, but when you get like magic or something, and they seem to get a glow to it from the colouring. Just think it looks cool as some really nice lightning effects during the storm. I think all the character designs are pretty awesome as well.
Yeah.
And I really, really like the face on the axe.
I was going to say that face is just, it's the way you do it.
I think it's all in the eyes. Like, it's obviously got a huge gaping maw with massive teeth, but the eyes just tell a lot of, like, when they're killing and it's drinking blood and seemingly getting, like, drunk from the experience, and his eyes go all kind of squinty and like, it looks like he's having a hell of a time, and you get a lot of personality from the axe.
Yeah,
you do.
The axe is definitely a character. He's not just a sidekick.
No. I do like when Witch Lady, who we've yet to learn her name, does, like, when she does her magic, and it just, like, the visual sort of signifier for that with her is how her face, like, draws out and you can see, like, the skull kind of, and the bones beneath it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very cool little signifier.
And then she pulls a sword out of her arm.
As you do.
Yeah. So I think the way that they've got magic working in this world is an interesting twist on some of the more like conventional stuff, and it lends itself to very cool art, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I concur. You've all basically just said all the things I was going to say, so thanks,
So
guys.
we've all just agreed again, is basically...
It's pretty good.
I do have to ask, anyone got any favourites from the, like, million variant covers for this?
Well, I don't know, because I was slightly worried. I was like, God, is this like 52 pages long? I mean, that's amazing.
Is it 20 pages of variant covers at the start?
Yeah.
The front and back covers?
22.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
then I just
21.
sort of... I lost... I can't even tell you. I can't remember half of them.
So I have...
Just so many covers.
I have two favourites.
Is one the Conan VHS tape one?
Conan VHS tape?
Yeah, there's like a Conan VHS tape cover.
Oh shit! Okay, 3. I have I missed that one. I like the Savage Sword of Conan. Like cover. That's like the Coming of Owen one. I love the VHS, like the film poster one. And obviously my very favourite, though, is the one by Maria the Wolf and Addison Duke, the Cape and Cowl Comics one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Largely because I was like, it's got gorillas on it, so I was like, is this a Rogues in the House pastiche? Because I mean, it's great art, really like gross and detailed and but Rogues in the House, where Conan fights a gorilla that's convinced it's a wizard, and has like a cape and stuff. I love that shit.
All very good choices. I'll give you that, Matt. I also quite like there's a God Country one.
Yeah, I like the God Country.
Yeah.
Which I'm really into, but I don't know if that's just purely because I'm really into God Country.
I think that's it, but you know.
Oh yeah. I've just been missing. I've just been drawn to ones that I already loved, and just missed all the other cool things.
It is a hell of a selection of variant covers. We had
It is.
What was it recently? I read Blue Flame #1 from Vault, and that had like an absurd amount of variant covers, and every single one of those was like, this is referencing something. I'm not always sure what, but I liked it.
I do quite like Vault's like vintage style ones though. When
the vintage one's my favourite, but
sort
then
of
again,
60s style.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of covers.
So many covers,
and all of them good.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Pretty much. I'm not a fan of like the 3D one particularly.
I couldn't tell if that was a photo or just 3D art, and I still don't know.
It's like Poser or something.
It could be.
I don't hate it. It's just not a style that I generally like very much. Like I can see the skill and stuff that's gone into it. It's just not for me.
And the crunches, man, because that guy's got killer abs.
Oh yeah, like fucking Johnny Barbaric here.
Absolutely.
Oh dear.
I thank you.
Clap.
I can't. Let me see if I have any more barbaric notes.
Might be Johnny Volt, because it would be the publisher.
True.
Johnny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this has enough of a twist to keep on reading.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident in saying I'll be back for more of this, I think.
Yeah, I will, because axes.
And a talking one at that.
Talking axes.
Sweet.
I mean, not only do you give me an axe, but you give me a talking axe. I'm on board.
So, well, is that everything?
I know what you're trying to set up, Matt, but I just don't know if anyone's going to jump for it, mate.
Why, yes, Matt, that is everything. Oh, brilliant. Then I guess it's time to move on to everything Archie.
I don't get it. So, my book is Everything's Archie from Archie Comics. The script is by Fred Van Lente. The pencils and covers are by Dan Parent. Letters by Jack Morelli. Colours by Glenn Whitmore. And inks by Bob Smith. It's hard to quite summarise this book, but it all seems to be based around Archie wishing to purchase a guitar, and to do so, signing up to an app where he's essentially paid for doing chores.
Yeah, kind of like TaskRabbit or Fiverr.
Got you, yeah. And these chores seem to be whatever the person wants.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's told in a series of kind of short arc stories, all surrounding the app and various chores that he completes in order to purchase his Wayne's World guitar.
Excellent.
Thank you for also being the one. Thank you for being the one who would say that, because I was there like, that is
yes.
just...
She will be mine.
I got to get it out there first. What an ugly guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Criminally bad.
It is the type of guitar that a teenager would see.
Yeah, of course. No headstock,
in the same way
weird
that,
bits cut out of the body.
In the same way that, like, a teenager will look at the Flying V and go like, oh, that's the coolest shit.
Whilst everybody else knows the truth. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
A teenager thinks it's the coolest. And
everybody else knows.
So this is my first experience with Archie. I've never read any Archie before. So I don't know if it feels like this is quite typical Archie. I mean, there's a backup story at the end from 1997.
Which feels very
2021.
Yeah. Seems has some irony to it, but it tonally seems quite in keeping with this. So this feels like quite classic Archie, from what I can tell. Yeah,
I would agree with that. I've read, and I think Angela's read as well, quite a bit of the Archie reboot from a few years ago that Mark Waid and Fiona Staples did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've read more actual, like, pre that Archie. I always meant to get round to that, but I've read, like, a fair bit of Archie over the years. Yeah.
This is pretty classic artwork and everything. I think is very.
Yeah, it's very Archie.
Everything's Archie, you might say.
Yeah, yeah.
What it tells me is Archie's not for me.
I think it's fun, and I think it's light-hearted, which is what I was expecting to be light-hearted and fun. And there's one thing that I laughed at, and then realized I was laughing because of what it reminded me of, which is one of the chores is for Archie to keep a flash drive away from Veronica.
Yeah.
Because it's got an algorithm on it that will tell her spoilers.
You're going to talk about Daredevil, aren't you?
No, actually.
I was thinking about the quantum flash drive.
No, mine's
made out of unstable molecules.
No, this is much more Zach. And she says to him, like, no matter what I do, you can't let me have that, drive.
Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the last word there. Good job. I have notes, and it immediately put me onto that scene in Peep Show where Super Hands is like. Even if I hit you hard with wood, if I grab your arm and twist it behind your back until it snaps like a Kit Kat, you tell me no.
just a little crack.
And and just realised, like, I was laughing quite a lot, and I'm like, but I'm laughing at something that this has reminded me of, not actually this joke. But what I'm saying here is that episode of Peep Show where Super Hands gives up crack, definitely watch that. It's good stuff.
I see, like, I had a bit of fun with this, actually. I quite liked it, like, in the sense of, like, there's some good little bits of, like, Van Lente writing kind of coming through every now and again. Like, there's
a late stage capitalism.
Yeah, particularly that. There's the great bit where, like, Mr. Lodge grabs the drink and throws it at the guy whilst yelling Trotskyite.
Yes.
Get off my private property you don't believe in.
Yeah, that was good.
And, like, I mean, that's the highlight of the issue for me.
That is good stuff, to be fair.
I'm not going to be particularly critical. The thing is, I don't think this is a bad comic. It's just one of those where the art just doesn't kind of interest me, that sort of style. It reminds me of, like, the Beano, really. Like, there's that sort of cartooning.
Oh, yeah.
And it just doesn't do anything for me, and that's all, really. Like,
it's one of those things you can recognise that, like, something would be a great comic to give to, like, to give to a kid that has enough in it that a parent could read it with them and laugh at a few jokes that the kid wouldn't get, like the Trotskyite bit. And I think it is actually, like, it's very solidly written, and, like, actually has, like, there's like some good gigs. Some good gags in there, like, about, like, the gig economy. Like, as a working musician, I'm extremely pro gig, and stuff like that. It's a book that, like, if you had a kid and you, like, got, like, an Archie digest, and this was in it, you'd have a lot of fun, I think, like, reading it with them. And it is that kind of ideal thing of, like, something for both the parents and like the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. It
made me laugh enough at enough points to go, like, yeah, I think this is really neat.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's been interesting to cover some Archie because we haven't in all of Bigger Than Capes.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting to cover something from Archie, and it's been I think it's exactly what I expected we would get if we covered any random issue of Archie that isn't, like, the horror universe of Archie. But I think it's been, it's fun, and I agree with Matt. I think the little bits of, like, Van Lente being Van Lente.
Oh yeah, and, like, there's a great bit where, like, Veronica throws the cup, and she's like talking. Like, Archie's like, I don't want to see me as some sort of servant. What's that supposed to mean? You imply I have any less respect for? And then there's a pause, and then it's her or this guy,
this man you've known all your life. Yeah, my name.
It's great.
Yeah, I think it is funny. It's just not my humour.
No, exactly.
That's it.
It's kind of my humour, sadly.
But I think that's
we
great.
All know I have no taste, but yeah, I know exactly. It is very much, I've enjoyed the reboot of Archie. I've enjoyed this, and I like Fred Van Lente's writing generally. If he writes something, generally I'll read it, and I read it, and I enjoyed it. So
I think it's a comic that deserves to be liked. I think it is a good comic, and I think there is definitely a place for this type of comic writing. It just doesn't deserve to be liked by me.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll like it twice as hard.
Good.
I think one of the things that's always stuck with me about Archie and the Archie reboot is that I had a friend stay over at my house once, and he woke up, like, hours before me and read, like, 3 volumes of Archie. And I woke up and I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, just trying to figure out, like, what's Betty's deal, man? Just like, okay.
Talking of Archie, at some point we should do an episode on the Josie and the Pussycats movie.
Oh, yes, we should. In a comic book quiz I did last year, I very nearly included songs in a music round from that. Realised how lost on reality that would be absolutely inaccessible to everyone taking part. Just be like
0 points, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing a recording session, and I had nothing to do, but it's good manners to stay. And just found a load of old Tintin hardbacks. Just smashed through them. That was a good afternoon.
That sounds like a pretty good afternoon, to be fair.
Yeah,
to be fair, the Archie reboot was good, but if you wake up and the question you're asked is, "What's Betty's deal?" It's like, what?
Existential.
Yeah.
Speaking of existential.
Yeah. So. My comic this month, the one comic I've read. No, my comic this month is the 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton from Image Comics. It is written by Kyle Starks with art by Chris Schweizer and color assists from Liz Schweizer. Okay, so 6 Sidekicks. Trigger Keaton is such a fucking jerk. And
solid opener.
True.
And he's dead. And this is this isn't a bad thing necessarily, but also he's been murdered, or at least Miles Wynn, his latest sidekick, thinks he has been. And he enlists some of Trigger's former television sidekicks to help him solve the case. This comic is good. I like this comic quite a lot. It's a Kyle Starks comic, so I'm generally going to like it. They've always got really solid dialogue and a lot kind of going on, lots of little background jokes, and Chris Schweizer's art is real good. There's so much character work that goes into everyone's designs. No two characters look quite alike. Miles Wynn has this the most chiseled face I've ever seen. He's just all angles, all right angles and stuff. And you've got Terry Komodo, who is former sidekick, martial arts child sidekick, and now a stuntman and alcoholic, and he is just the most that guy. He's if the dude from Big Lebowski was more aggro and studied martial arts in his design. It's real good.
I knew from the opening splash character page where it tells you the 6 sidekicks.
Yeah.
That Terry Komodo was going to be my guy. It's just a name thing.
Yeah.
I have to immediately ask the question of so what's everyone's favorite Terry Komodo line?
There are many.
I've got it out the silence while I reread
3 written down, but I don't want to take them all.
Okay, go give one.
You should have known it, me. I can't.
You're gonna say mine right away. I shouldn't have let you say one.
You should have known it was me because whoever you heard talking sounded handsome and tall.
Yeah, that's the right one.
I got 2 others though, so I can take Angela's and Will's as well if that helps.
I'm going to hit you so hard you become funeral confetti.
That's the one I was going to go for. I'm going to go with... Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say particularly because of Paul's in the background saying funeral confetti.
I don't know. I mean, one of his early lines: "This guy's the Judas Iscariot of child actors, and I refuse to tolerate his presence."
Congrats, you 2 have nailed the other 2 that I had written down.
I also just like the invention of the concept of pocket beer.
Yeah.
just showing up to a place, having cans of beer in your pockets, and just referring to it as pocket beer.
Yeah, pocket beer.
Oh, I've got another one. What's a stuntman war? It's like a regular war, but with stuntmen, idiot.
But I think in this book, as you mentioned, I think Carl Starks is excellent at scripting and voicing characters. They just feel immediately fleshed out. Like, you don't learn a great deal about each of them, but I get the feeling that they each have a backstory to be learned, and that they just feel like genuine characters from the get-go.
And like, we see so little of Trigger as well, and like there's like just the bits that we see of him are genuinely fascinating. Like, but particularly there's a scene where Miles is sort of looking back on the time he's spent kind of with him, and he's like, he's like asking him about like how he feels about like basically that no one cares about him, and he's just like, Trigger just says like, sad, lonely boy, I'm free, I am unencumbered, and it's like, I hate you, but I kind of want to try and understand how you view yourself, or like, I want to come to understand more about you.
As you say, I think he sets up a genuine hatred for a character you see very little of.
Yeah.
But it works real good, because you do, like, by the end of these 20 pages, you just think like, what a D-bag. But one element I really enjoy is that I get the impression we're going to get all 6 of the team together. They're all going to have different skills from their like TV work days.
Yeah.
So both Paul and Terry are clearly like good fighters, but Paul has become a pacifist. So during a fight towards the end, he's just sort of dodging blows. It's very Jackie Chan, like having his jacket pulled off from his shoulders and just like narrowly missing punches. And Terry just, thinks he's God's gift to fighting and kicking ass.
Yeah. And to be fair,
he seems to be.
Oh yeah, it's still pretty hardcore. I don't know how old Tad Haycroft is going to play into things, because he was the voice
intrigued.
of the Knight Rider-esque car.
How everyone's like, how they're like, but he didn't have a sidekick in that show. It's like, I was the voice of the car.
Yeah, I was the car, and then and then Paul's like, but you're Skippy, and he's like, no, I'm me, I'm Tad, and it's just like, there's a lot to unpack even in just that little moment. Like, poor Tad.
I love though how there's so much I like about like the design of this book, like how whenever like one of the sidekicks has their formal introduction, you get two newspaper clippings. Like, one is like the TV listings with like a highlighted thing about the show, and the other is
why it was cancelled.
It's like why it was cancelled, or something that happened on it.
Yeah, why the relationship broke down.
Yeah, like, and also I really want us. I hope that each issue opens with a flashback to one of the shows with like Trigger and the sidekick at the time.
Yeah.
I need it to, because I need to know more about Frankenstein and Frankenstein.
Yes.
I mean, the others as well, sure, whatever, but you know.
It's a great name.
It is.
Yeah, gone too soon.
Again, I think, as we were saying with some of the other books today, is kind of laying the groundwork for future things. And Richard Brannigan, sidekick number 4, is apparently like extremely famous.
And like kind of successful, but his film career isn't taking off.
Yeah. Apparently, Yakuza Sunrise has bombed.
Yeah. But he seems like a really interesting person, and I can't wait to get to know more about him.
I think that's it. It lays down a bit of mystery, but it is interesting mystery, and figuring out what he's about is quite compelling.
I mean, I wrote a review about this book, and one of the things that I said about it that really makes me like this book is that like pretty much every kind of Kyle Starks book that we've had in a long time, like from Sex Castle or like Punch Captain, like onwards, has been basically a book where the hero is like either the world's greatest, like the world's former greatest assassin, or like some particular type of like great cool badass. And this time it's kind of inverted. Like I don't want to say like Trigger Keaton's the villain of this book, but he's already dead. And he's the poison that's touched all of these people's lives. And like so like it's a case of like the world's greatest badass is just this toxic piece of shit, and we're not kind of hero worshipping them. And that's a fascinating kind of change to a Starks book that I'm really excited to see where it goes and how he kind of plays with that. Oh, also there's some good background gags. Like, God must have needed a little more kung fu in heaven. Banner, which I really love.
The humour does land for me on this, for sure.
Yeah, I think the balance of everything in this is really the balance of the action, the comedy, the kind of revealing moments about Trigger's past, and all really well put together. It's interesting as well seeing a Kyle Starks book. Okay, obviously there's other examples, but seeing a Kyle Starks book that Kyle Starks hasn't drawn, I think is always interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really have been enjoying his work with Chris Schweizer. Like, because he clearly just gets Starks. Like, they're a really good team.
Yeah, and I think that they work together really well. The same kind of way that we saw how well Erica Henderson and Kyle Starks worked together with Assassination. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like two people who get the other's weirdness.
They get what they're each about.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think this is a good first issue, and I'm pretty psyched to see where
I
this
feel
can
like
go.
In terms of like just hooking me on to a book, like just a narrative hook, this is probably the strongest for me, but I'll wait until the end. I'll wait until like Final Judgments to kind of really break that down.
I mean, we're probably quite close to that.
We're pretty much there.
I think we're there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So, who's gonna start? Let's go with Angela.
That's always.
I literally closed my eyes.
Okay.
Like pointed.
So we'll go around We'll go from the bottom to the top. To the bottom, to the surprise of no one. Will be the worst dudes. Not because it's terrible, because the art's really pretty. The art's really good. It just feels like it might read better in trade when you can read more than one issue and you can see how the humour goes, and is it going to remain in the toilet or is it going to crawl its way out like some sort of weird life form. So yeah, it's not terrible. It's not the worst thing I've read this week, probably, maybe, but it's not the best. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's not terrible, but it's not the best. So then I'm kind of in my zone of I like all the things. That was a really easy choice to put that one last. And then it got really, really hard. So, oh God. So I'm going to go in third spot, but it could have gone anywhere apart from the bottom. Everything's Archie. It's good. I enjoy it. I had a nice time. I will probably reread it at some point because I can just turn my brain off. It doesn't require me to think much. And sometimes that's what I want out of a book. I just want a nice, simple book that makes snide jabs at capitalism. And what more can I ask for, really? And then I would probably go... It's really hard, but I'm going to go 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton.
We were close.
I'm going to go with number 2. I'll get why Barbaric goes number 1 at number 1. I will say it's a really good book. I enjoyed it. It feels like a complete package where everyone's doing exactly what they know they're supposed to be doing and enjoying themselves doing it. It's clever, it's got a mystery, it's got humour, it's got potential to go who knows what places. Maybe we'll find out who killed Trigger Keaton, maybe we won't, and ultimately it's the journey that matters. But yeah, that's why that would be at number 2, because Barbaric just speaks to my id in a way the others don't. It's just an entirely personal thing. I would say the best written produced book is Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, but the book that sort of I enjoyed reading the most was Barbaric, because it does have all the things that, you know, I just like in a book. It's got gore, it's got humour, it's got random Conan type references. That's just something that I would go with because I just enjoy that sort of thing. So although I enjoy 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, and I do think it's probably the best plotted, written, arted, whatever in terms of that, I still my heart belongs to Barbaric. It's not a head choice, it's a heart choice, and my heart gets ripped out by a talking axe. So there you are.
I think that's the way to go about it. It should be heart choice, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, that's where my heart went. Where does your heart go, Will?
I thought our list would be quite different, but actually they're almost identical. And I fear mine and Matt's are identical. Zach has yet to pipe up, but
let's keep you all guessing.
From bottom to top, The Worst Dudes, I think, is my least favourite, and I use those words specifically because I agree with you, Angela. I don't think it is outright terrible comic, but the humour doesn't quite work for me. I don't quite understand where it's going to go yet, and it just hasn't hooked me in. But the art and the lettering, this is probably the best lettered book. Let's give it that.
Yeah,
let's give it that accolade. Third from bottom is Everything's Archie. Again, I really kind of didn't get on with this, and I think in another month probably could have been bottom, but I think it is sort of wholesome and well-meaning, and I always think that it's a good market to fulfill in comics. There's a lot of gritty and dour, and while I do enjoy my fair share of misery, I do understand that it is nice to have some light. For some people, my light comes in others' misery, but I get that you're not all like me. But second to that is Barbaric. I thought it was really good. I think the art's really nice. I think that the story is an interesting enough twist on the fantasy genre to get me involved. And hopefully I am projecting, but hopefully it goes the way that I think it's going to go. As we discussed, kind of the idea of what is good, and how that plays out in the form of an axe with a face. But the clear winner for me is 6 Sidekicks of oh god, I nearly said Buster Keaton then. Thanks. Now I can't remember what his actual name is. Trigger Keaton. The 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. I'm very quickly becoming a very big Kyle Starks fan. I just really like the way he writes. I think it's funny. It's really engaging. I think the characters are really charming, even the ones that are awful. They're awful in such a funny way that, a bit like, I forget his character name now, but 4 kids walk into a bank and there was the kid Burger. He's just my guy, man. I'm attracted to the like
trash, but I love him.
Yeah, jerks with hearts of gold.
Right. That Kimono is just is Burger.
He's Burger if Burger didn't,
get
die. But Yeah, Terry Komodo. I think I'm hoping he's going to have a slightly redeeming moment where some of his humanity comes out. But either way, I'm completely on board for this comic. It is clear. It is a clear winner this week. If it is a competition, which it is, and it wins.
If it was any other writer, I would agree that Terry Komodo might have a redeeming moment. But the sheer fact that it's Kyle Starks makes me think that
Probably
he
going to be dead
not.
by the second issue. Yeah, his head will explode or something.
Some of these
that'll be the end of
sidekicks,
Terry.
yeah, some of the sidekicks will die. I think we're all agreed on that, surely.
But surely it's Tad, right?
Poor Tad. I need to know.
He looks like fodder.
Jesus, well.
So, yeah, I liked the Worst Dudes quite a bit more than the rest of you, I think. But I still think I'm going to put it in fourth. Like, I had fun with it. I genuinely did. Like, I quite enjoyed it, but I think I got a little more out of everything else. I think everything else kind of felt like maybe a more like just kind of landed a first issue better for me. Everything's Archie was just a complete story and stuff. But yeah, and everything Archie is in third. Like I say, it's a complete story. It's just a really well done kind of goofy, all ages, comedy, sort of modern, modernly sort of set, old style Archie comic. With enough jokes for a parent to read it to a kid and get something out of it, and for a child to learn to yell Trotskyite at their parents. And then it's in second place. It's it's Barbaric.
The old bait switch.
Yeah, the old bait and switch. I liked Barbaric quite a bit. I think Barbaric is going to be really fun. It's even if it's not it doesn't have the most amazing story kind of as it goes forward, I think there'll still be which I hope it will. I think that it's got enough to explore. I think that the violence alone will probably be good enough. All the violence is just so over the top and cartoony and gross that it is just really funny. It loops back round to just being silly.
Yeah,
and I love that. And
that sort of Tarantino school of violence where things are just so explosive.
Yeah.
Bodies are full of so much blood that it becomes
They
so
over
the top that it becomes funny again.
And then surprising no one, in first place, it's the 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. I'm a big Kyle Starks fan, and this is really good Starks. And it feels different to everything that I've read of his before. Whilst there is going to be weird, silly action movie violence and stuff that's not necessarily going to be the driving engine of this book. And we have a lot of characters who that isn't their life either, in a way that isn't usual for a Kyle Starks book. Normally, everyone in a Kyle Starks book who's a leading character in it, or in the lead sort of ensemble, is capable of doing some fucked up shit to people. And this, I think is just going to be really cool and fascinating to read. Yeah. So, Zach.
Wowers.
Well.
Yeah.
Which side are you coming down on, Zach?
I ain't gonna bore you with the opening gambits of saying 4 worst dudes, 3 Archie.
We all know that.
Same reasons I've heard 100 times here, or 3, whatever. I think worst dudes is going to be better in trade.
Again, it might even be better by its second issue.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And if Dark Horse want to send us review copies so we can check,
feel free, Dark Horse. The gauntlet's been thrown.
Archie is what I expected, and I'm game for Archie at basically any time. And then it's really, really hard because I don't think one of these books is better than the other. I think they're both equally rad. However, in the interest of restoring the status quo and...
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to split us down the middle.
I'm going to go with 6 sidekicks in second place.
Partisan.
I think it's really good. It's really good Kyle Stark.
Oh, yes. Zach and Angela forming the coalition of chaos.
It's
fucking...
Trigger Keaton, right. Matt's right. It is really good Kyle Starks. It is everything you would want from a Kyle Starks book, and it is a nice swerve that it is not the world's greatest anything, because he's already dead. The world's greatest arsehole is already dead. And it is real good, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. I think it's going to be good in singles and probably even better in trade. Also, at some point, I'm going to find out what Frankenstein and Frankenstein is. And
yeah, buddy.
Hell yeah. Number 1 is Barbaric. But I got reasons. I'm not just going to echo Angela. And I think my reasons are the fact that I'm not a Conan the Barbarian kind of guy, and I'm not a overly fantasy kind of guy. So I think the fact that, this got me, and it's got a talking axe that gets drunk on blood, and a barbarian called Owen, and it just looks rad, and it is. It's a good first issue. And I'm just really into this. It's got a talking axe, guys. Come on. I think we all know Angela's right this week.
Yeah.
Also, it's got a woman who has sword tattoos that she can pull out of herself and sword people with, or knife people with in other occasions. She could have all kinds of weapon tattoos. We don't know.
Who knows what's to come in future issues? What kind of tattoos we'll see.
One of the covers is fairly revealing of her tattoos and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's my least favourite.
That's also
I would agree.
Cover.
There's something about drawn nudity that kind of makes me uncomfortable.
It's not lost on me that when Tim Seeley writes comics, it's kind of, pretty horny, sometimes quite horror. And then when he's like asked to draw something, he kind of is like, all right.
It's all horned up.
And I need to know, like, is this just 100% of is Tim Seeley's entire life just like horny and horror and nothing else? Everything's just like murder and sex, no middle ground. Like,
I could believe that.
Because if it is, cool, all right, I totally understand where Tim Seeley's coming from as an entity, as a creator. But I don't know. But yeah, that Barbaric is rad, as is 6 Sidekicks. To be fair, I think we could be back here in a week's time, and I could have flipped those 2 and be on team Will and Matt. But for
today,
right now, Barbaric.
Yeah.
Split down the middle.
Yay, we didn't agree. Our prediction was true.
We're close, though.
We're much closer than I thought we'd be, agreement-wise.
On the day that we pick 4 different orders, is the day that I think we're done, aren't we?
Could be. I don't think we've ever had like a full 4-book disagreement.
It's hard, like 4 books and 4 people. Like it's always going to be like fairly similar, but there is permutation.
The middle is fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we need to introduce a fifth host to kind of like
just to break the tie?
See if that changes it at all.
Yeah, bring us someone who's a huge Rob Liefeld fan. That'll change the dynamic.
Well, the only huge Rob Liefeld fan I can think of is Rob Liefeld, and I just don't know if
you were talking about getting creators on to discuss their books or join us for the roundup.
So I think this more or less brings us to the conclusion of our June roundup. Any dissent within the ranks, or do we all agree?
I think that's good. I think we've said all we've got to say.
Aces. Then with no, I don't know. Without further ado, thank you, Will. This has been Bigger Than Capes. We have been Angela, Matt, Will, and Zach alphabetically, and we shall continue to be. And this week we've proved that comics are
bigger than capes.